Thank you, Ms. Wilson. I am happy to introduce our next honoree, who also partners with Eagle Academy Foundation by making it possible to share our mission of supporting young men of color in other schools that aren't Eagle Academies. As Chancellor of the New York City Department of Education, Richard A. Carranza, the son of a sheet metal worker and a hairdresser and grandson of Mexican descent, is responsible for the education of over 1 million students in over 1,800 schools. Wow. Himself a product of successful public schools, Dr. Carranza knows that a great education changes lives. That's why, as Chancellor, he is building on the city's equity and excellence for all agendas, supporting students academically, socially, and emotionally, and championing initiatives that help educators strengthen their practice and empower more parents to become engaged in their children's education. It's no wonder that Education Week profiled Dr. Carranza as a national 2015 leader to learn from. And we at the Eagle Academy Foundation get to call him our friend. Thank you, Chancellor, for your investment in public education.
So again, our final award, the Eagle Academy Foundation Soaring Beyond Leadership Award, presented to Richard A. Carranza in recognition of your exemplary leadership, commitment to education, and support for the advancement of the Eagle Academy Foundation Mission 2019. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming our New York City Schools Chancellor, Richard Carranza.
When they said step up, they meant step up, right? So, Rasan and Maurice, if that isn't quintessentially the example of a bright future for us in New York City, I don't know what is. How about a round of applause for our MCs? I'm sitting over here at the most fun table in the room, table 5. And every time they speak, I'm saying, I want to hire them, I want to hire them. So Maurice, you specifically asked for a JOB. You're hired. You're hired right now. You got a JOB in the NYC, buddy. Right now. And to my brother, and I don't say this slightly, to my brother David Banks. As an educator, I could not have found a more willing, a more strategic, a more heartfelt partner in the work in New York City than David. And I'm blessed that I got to meet him within weeks of arriving in New York City. So I want to say to him and to the board of directors and everyone associated with the Eagle Academy, thank you for what you do. You are literally changing lives, as you've seen here today. And to my fellow awardees, I'm in awe that my name would be printed anywhere near yours. I truly mean that. Talk about a lifetime of service. It's an honor to be recognized with you. So thank you for what you do. So to all of you, my friends, thank you for being here. And to the young men in the table right in the middle, we are your village. We are here for you. You are what we do. But my friends and fellow New Yorkers, I want you to keep 3 numbers in mind: 65, 11, and 14. And why is that important? Because no, we're not going to do math. 65 years, on May 17th, 65 years, it will be the 65th anniversary of Brown versus Board of Education. The seminal Supreme Court case in which the Supreme Court, the highest court of this land, said that separate is not equal. Plessy versus Ferguson is not the law of the land. And it said that we should have integrated schools and that we should have children of all colors from all backgrounds, not only learning together, but even more importantly, that we should be investing in the education of those children. And I would say to all of us collectively, 65 years post Brown versus Board of Education, what do we have to show for that? I'm going to let that just linger there. And 11, why is 11? They tell me I only have 2 minutes, so I'm making this quick, sorry. What does 11 have to do with 65? Well, I don't know if you remember where you were, but I will never forget where I was 11 years ago on a November night watching Wolf Blitzer announce that we had just elected the first black president in the history of the United States. That was only 11 years ago. And why is it important that we remember that was 11 years? Because I would suspect, like many of you, we're lulled into a false sense of post-racial society. We are beyond racism. We've elected a black man president. And whether you agree with him politically or not, he represented us well. He was articulate. He lifted us when we needed to be lifted. He encouraged us when we needed to be encouraged. He was faithful to his wife. And to my brothers in the center table, that means a lot. That is part of being a man. Make a commitment and you keep your word. Now, why is 11 important to us? It's important to us, my friends, because the recent past has showed us that we are not in a post-racial society. The incidence of hate crime, and I'm not going to apologize because as I go around this beautiful city and I hear people say that boys of color in great numbers will diminish the academic wherewithal of schools, that boys of colors can't achieve, that we should stop talking about why boys of color and girls of color don't have the same opportunities historically that other groups of students have. And they call me a racist for saying it. And they say, stop talking about it and you're being divisive. Tell me about that when it affects our children. So my friends, understanding that post 65 years, what do we have to show for it? And with the 11 years since we elected the first black president, we get to 14. And why is 14 important? Because for 14 years, the Eagle Academy Foundation has been directly working to put into place the promise of Brown versus Board of Education. 14 years. So when our auctioneer comes up and asks you to contribute, and I see so many people contributing, that's wonderful. That's going to give opportunities to our children, but I'm going to ask you to do more than write a check or to dig deep into your pocket. That's important. But I'm going to ask you to speak out. I'm going to ask you to stand up. I'm going to ask you to defend these children who, if it isn't for us, the village, defending their honor, defending their rights, defending their opportunities, calling it out when it's said. And when people use other language that is denigrating to our children, especially our children of color, we have a responsibility not only to call it out, but to support a different narrative. So when I say to you today that as the Chancellor of Schools in New York City, I love what I do, and I love working with adults, but I love children more. I want you to be part of that team. Because it doesn't matter where we're educating them, all it matters is that we're giving them a pathway to the future. I'm incredibly honored. God bless you for what you do, and let's keep changing lives and make Brown versus Board the true law of this land. Thank you very much.